All right, today we are diving headfirst into one of the biggest mysteries out there, consciousness. We're going to explore the Unified Harmonic Systems model, which is a framework that gives us a completely different way to think about it. It's an answer based not on biology, but on physics, on vibration. So let's just start with a question that kind of flips the whole problem on its head. For centuries, we've been trying to find where consciousness is in the brain. But what if we're looking for the wrong thing? What if it's not a thing at all? What if consciousness is more like a rhythm, a stable, repeating vibration? You know, that one little shift in perspective, well, it changes absolutely everything. And that, right there, is the heart of the Unified Harmonic Systems model. The idea is that consciousness isn't some magical, separate force that just appears out of nowhere. Instead, it's a totally natural property that emerges when energy gets organized enough to create a feedback loop, to, in a way, observe itself. It's like harmony emerging from the background noise of the universe. Okay, so the key term here is conscious coherence. And really, it's not about having a brain or a soul in the way we usually think about it. It's about a system, any system, creating feedback loops that are so stable they become self-referential. They can essentially look back at themselves. That's the spark. So what this means is that consciousness isn't something that just magically pops up in human brains and nowhere else. According to this model, the potential for it is basically baked into the fundamental fabric of the universe. It's just what happens when energy and information find a way to create a sustained, reflective resonance, a pattern so stable it can recognize its own existence. So, okay, if this potential for awareness is everywhere, how does it become you? How does this big cosmic rhythm create the individual sense of I that we all feel? Let's zoom in on that. It all comes down to one word: feedback. You know how when you hold a microphone too close to a speaker, you get that powerful screaming loop of sound? Well, awareness is built on the exact same principle, just with information. It's a system's ability to create and sustain those loops. And as you can see here, this means perception isn't just a one-shot deal. It's a whole process. An external signal comes in, but the system doesn't just receive it, it resonates with it. It compares that new vibration against all of its own internal patterns, its memories, its structure, and it's only after this cascade of comparisons across all these nested layers that a clear, stable perception actually emerges. And this brings us to this idea of the conscious core. Think of it like your own personal gravity well, but for experience. It has a unique harmonic signature that pulls all the scattered vibrations from your senses inward, organizing them into a stable, single identity. It is the center of your experiential gravity. Now, this is where things get really interesting. The model basically splits reality into two layers that work together. You've got the physical layer, the world we see and touch, where energy and matter actually do their thing. But behind it, guiding it all, is the information layer. This is the non-physical blueprint, the set of rules. It's like the musical score that tells the orchestra of the universe which notes to play. Okay, so if every one of us is our own unique little resonance pattern, that brings up a huge question, right? How do we ever connect? How does my internal world bridge the gap to yours? Let's see how this model explains that connection. I mean, it's a really deep question. How does my subjective experience, my rhythm, ever link up with yours? Well, according to this framework, the answer has everything to do with synchronization and something called information density. And this chart here gives us a big clue. It shows a core principle. As a system, like a brain, gets more complex, it's able to hold more intricate and layered vibrations. This complexity means it has a higher information density, which, in this model, directly translates to a deeper, richer capacity for awareness. And you know what the ultimate tool for this is? Language. Words aren't just symbols. In this model, they're like carrier waves. They are frequencies that literally allow us to tune our individual consciousness to the same harmonic state as someone else. When we both understand the meaning of a word, our minds are, for a moment, literally resonating in sync. But the model goes even further. It actually offers a framework for things that we've always struggled to explain, like deep intuition, or those weird synchronicities, or powerful empathy. It suggests that when our informational fields overlap just right, we can form these non-local links. It's like our minds are connected, even across physical distance. Think of it like a cognitive version of quantum entanglement. All right, so let's zoom out again, way out. What happens when it's not just two minds, but millions of minds, all resonating together? The model suggests that they can create a shared harmonic field on a massive scale. This creates a kind of shared cognitive space. It's a field where our collective reality lives and breathes. It's where ideas, myths, and culture can spread and last for generations, creating a sort of standing wave that's much bigger than any single person. So get this. This means the very things that hold our societies together, our social norms, our cultural identity, our art, even our scientific beliefs, they can all be seen as these huge collective resonant structures. They're stable harmonic patterns that we all as a society tune into, maintain, and strengthen every single day. And that brings us to the last piece of the puzzle for today. And honestly, it might be the most profound part of this whole model. The idea that consciousness isn't a finished product. It's not static. It's actually evolving. And how does it evolve? Well, it comes right back to that feedback loop we talked about at the beginning. Every single time we learn something new or create something, we observe the result. That observation feeds back into our internal structure, and it reinforces the patterns that lead to even greater awareness and stability. It's a constant upward spiral. Now, this puts a really fascinating spin on how we think about evolution. Instead of everything being driven by purely random mutation, this model proposes something called harmonic selection. It suggests there's a kind of direction to the universe, a built-in preference for patterns that are more stable, more coherent, and ultimately more self-aware. And that leaves us with a truly mind-bending question to chew on. If we, the observers, are part of this same giant harmonic system as the reality we're observing, and if we are evolving towards greater and greater coherence, what does that say about the evolution of reality itself? And that is exactly where we are going to pick things up in our next explainer on Module 7. We're going to dive deep into how this very principle of harmonic evolution could be shaking not just our own minds, but the very fabric of the cosmos. We really hope you'll join us for that one.